All right, back for episode 11 of Short Track Radio, and our guest this evening, or whenever you're listening to this, is Ryan Orchard, driver of the number 32 Wing Sprint Car out at Western Speedway on the NSRA Wing Sprint Car Tour. Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
So, big weekend? Last weekend? Or this, I guess, yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, no, it was a good weekend. Finally starting to get the car figured out, getting some speed, and and we got the Strawberry Cup deal, so that was pretty neat as well.
So obviously, you talk about getting the car figured out. You guys made the move midway through last year into the Wing Sprint Car class. You got a old WILROC motor out of Randy Vincent, and maybe talk about your debut last year and kind of how the half season went.
Yeah, it was. First of all, we kind of pried the motor out of Randy Vincent there, and it was a pretty good piece. But it was way more of a learning curve than what we thought it was going to be. We didn't. I think we wrecked the first time we went out, so wasn't the best. But that was the main thing. It was just a way different driving style to anything I was used to.
And then obviously in the off season, you've made some improvements to the car. Maybe go through what you managed to pick up, because you basically just threw a wing. Put the motor into your WILROC non-wing car, and obviously the NSRA kind of rule book is pretty different from that, and that you can have a bunch of lightweight stuff, and maybe talk about some of the improvements that you've made, and power-wise and with on the car.
Without giving away all your secrets.
Yeah, exactly. not too much, but
Yeah. Basically, this is a brand new car this year. Our old car is actually sitting on a jig at home right now. But one of the main differences is basically weight. Our car last year was almost 1,800 pounds, and the minimum weight rule is 1,625. So we were quite a ways away from that. There's not a huge difference. So there's we're allowed titanium and stuff like that, so we got quite a bit of titanium bolts, and the motor, we basically went to a ASCS 360. They're a little bit cheaper, they last longer. We got Mark Houston to build that for us out of Sharks, and we're just trying some different things this year with setup, and seems to be working so far.
Yeah, so maybe tell some of the listeners how you got started in racing. Obviously, your stepdad is Rob Scott, and I think that's kind of how that whole thing got started. Yep,
racing for us has kind of been in the family for a long time. My uncle Rocky Collins, him and Rob, they've been out of the track for a long time. But I basically started when I was, I think I was 15, when IMCA was pretty big. They needed a car filler, basically. And I was that guy. We got, Tim Openshaw actually gave us a chassis that we named Scrappy, just because I basically got all Rob's crap that he didn't want to use. But that's how I started. I ran an IMCA modified for half a season. Then we did some upgrades to it. Wasn't much better. And then we ran one more season. I think after that, IMCA started to go kind of down in car count. So we sold everything. And I basically just pitted for Rob for till he retired, and I'm pretty sure he quit about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And then as soon as he retired, we were like, well, we got to do something. So we phoned around, talked to Bart Smith, and he actually had a dwarf car up there that we ended up buying off him. We ran one season in that and ended up winning the Drivers' Championship and got Rookie of the Year and whatnot. And then we sold that car and bought a car off of Lance Wade, which Greg Sagmon has now. Ran that for a year in the WILROC, and then we sold that, bought Wade Hexford's Beast, and ran that for a couple of years, and now we are where we are now.
So what made you decide on the dwarf car to get back into racing with?
I don't know. I think we were at a car show at the arena there in Langford, and I saw a couple sitting at the show there, and I was like, well, those things are kind of cool. And that's basically all it took.
So obviously you've been throughout, especially in the last few years, you guys have toured more tracks. Do you have a favorite track, or?
I do like Wenatchee. Wenatchee's pretty fun, fast track. Roseburg was a lot of fun. We were there a couple weekends ago. I'd definitely go back there. But I would say my favorite track is probably Magic Valley there in Twin Falls.
So, yeah, talking about Magic Valley, you guys, at the end of last year made a little trip down with King of the Wing and NSRA when they ran at Magic Valley and Meridian, and maybe talk about actually racing off island and racing with huge car counts.
Yeah, we basically went down there to run for the NSRA Sportsman Championship, and kind of brought a knife to a gunfight, but it basically we rolled up in Twin Falls there, and we were sitting at the track, and we're like, oh, this won't be too bad. There's only like 20 cars here. We should be able to make the show no problem. And they keep coming and coming and coming. I think there was like 35 cars at the first night there, and I think we ended up qualifying 10th or 12th out of 35 cars there with our little cast iron motor. So it was a lot of fun. It was a bit of an eye opener. That track's not too bad to drive, but when we went to Meridian's a different animal. That place is tough.
It's really small from what I'd kind of compact, and especially when you get 20 plus of those things on the same racetrack, it gets pretty interesting.
Yes, it's tight. The front straight is actually, the grandstands are on the sidewalk of the main road going through town.
Yeah, I was looking at some Google Earth images there, and it's right on Main Street, and you guys are kind of pitting out behind in a little bit of a field there, but you're surrounded by development.
Yeah, it's a neat little track though.
Another question I have here is, do you have a race day routine or something that you do as soon as you get to the track, or a ritual or anything like that? Jeff Montgomery's got that dirty old pair of underwear hanging off
the front of the quad. I didn't see it actually at Strawberry Cup. Maybe that.
Got rid of them.
Yeah, maybe that's why they finished second. Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah. I usually shave my head and shave before a race day.
Just to get that extra, aerodynamics.
Yeah, get that weight off somehow.
No, I'm just curious because you're racing a pretty serious machine now, and it takes a lot of mental and physical ability, and you're strapping into a a motor pretty much. So I'm always curious to see what guys got going on before they strap themselves into that motor.
Yeah, that's usually my routine.
That's a
Give
good
myself a haircut.
Nice. So at the racetrack, are you talkative with the crew before you have to go out, or are you wanting to be kind of left alone before a few minutes before you're in the car?
No, we're not a super serious group. We like to joke around and have fun. Everyone's out there to have fun, and we usually pit beside Guy Barrett and all them, and so we're always messing around with each other.
It's always fun. And Guy and Steph, we've already had Guy on, but good group of people there.
Yeah, they're all right.
pretty decent. So obviously you had the little Sportsman Sprint experience, and then you mentioned the WILROC non-wing sprint car. You ran that for a few years, obviously jumping up from the dwarf cars. Like the dwarf car, what was the decision to go up to the non-wing class? I think that was kind of when it was really starting to get going.
Yeah. Again, I think we just saw Darren Yates, I think, had a car out there for sale one night when we were running the dwarf car, and I kind of was looking at it, and Rob he's all for it. He loves racing, so basically when we started running the dwarf car, I like challenges, and not saying that dwarf car is not challenging, but as soon as we got the car figured out, I think we won pretty much every single race the rest of that year. So we just decided to move up, and the wingless class, it was pretty, well, it still is really competitive, but like all the big names were in it, and it's still not easy to win. Like, everyone's so close, so that's one of the main reasons we moved up.
You mentioned Rob Scott, obviously your stepdad. How important is it to have someone like that on your team with all that experience?
It definitely helps out. Like, my mom does my tires. Rob and I, we look at things a lot differently. Like, we butt heads a lot. And but we both want to do the same thing. We both want to go fast. We both want to try to win races. We just have different ideas of how we're gonna do that. And yeah, it's pretty funny. My mom gets all stressed out because usually at the shop we have a meltdown at least once or twice a month.
Oh, nice.
Right.
I think
we got some of those too.
Yeah. Oh, occasionally, just occasionally. But I think, what was it, last year at Strawberry Cup, you had a little interesting moment in hot laps where unfortunately you came back to the pit area carrying the left front tire underneath your arm.
Yeah, some front wheels kind of got forgotten to be tightened on that one.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, what else do I got in here?
Yeah, go back to the cheat sheet, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Is there any drivers specifically that you looked up to as you were coming up, or maybe when you were younger?
Well, obviously my uncle and my stepdad are pretty good. They pretty much won.
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
everything they've ever been in. Yeah, like Jeff Montgomery and Mike Haslam, just guys like that where you actually start running with them when you finally get things figured out, and you're like, okay, we're doing not bad now.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for this year? Obviously, you run the first race at Roseburg with the NSRA. Are you gonna try and hit up all the NSRA races?
I think we're gonna try to pick and choose basically what we're gonna do, whatever we have time to do. Basically, that's the hard part. The wing cars, that's the main difference between wingless. Wingless, you can kind of just pack up and go, where wing cars is just so much. It's like double the work. So you gotta have like your whole crew to be able to go and do them. So I don't think we're gonna make Meridian this coming weekend, but we're gonna try to hit. We're gonna do RPM. We're gonna go to Montana for sure. I think we're gonna try to run that 2-day show in Wenatchee if they'll let us.
If the Westco guys give their what is it, a 1 weekend allowance that they have?
Yeah, they give you a one event pass, I guess.
So you can just run rampant along the Westco field.
Yeah, I think we'd still have to put our restrictors in, but Wenatchee the power doesn't seem to matter as much there.
Yeah, definitely with a smaller track that kind of takes away maybe some of the advantage of the bigger power cars as opposed to Western with the longer straightaways.
Yeah, Western. I don't think Western's a big power track either because you got to be able to put it down. So, it's Western. I think the main thing is getting through the corners.
Yeah, definitely having the ability to get a run off the corners at Western kind of, makes you almost look like you have 10 or 20 more horsepower or 50 more horsepower coming off.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, one more off the cheat sheet for you. What advice would you give someone just starting out in racing?
I would probably say start off in a cheaper class, get some experience before you move up into something that costs a lot of money to fix.
Yeah, that's good advice right there.
That's great advice. And maybe talk about your company, Orchard Plumbing and Heating, and some of the services that you guys do.
Yeah, we mostly do new construction, hydronic heating, gas. We pretty much do everything, or try to.
A little bit of everything, and I think actually helped James and Cam out with their shop over at LaserCam.
Yeah, we got all their gas and or nitrogen all hooked up for them.
So you want to plug any other sponsors you got? This is the time to do it.
All right. We got Bucky's Tap House. We got JTM Trucking. Fred Bocott Trucking, Beacon Auto Parts, who else do we have? Shockwave, and JTM Trucking.
I think that you might have faintly heard me saying that off mic, but Ryan
Cole's
did.
got it all memorized.
Yeah.
It's part of the territory.
Another question we always ask is, what's your most cherished memory from the track, whether it be a win or maybe something that wasn't a win that sticks out in your head?
I think our first win we got in the lights class was pretty awesome because we got close so many times and had such bad. We're not the luckiest group when it comes to racing.
I don't know any race car driver that considers themselves lucky.
Yeah.
It's always a struggle, but yeah.
Well, I think especially Ryan, the year that you got that win and you had a few opportunities kind of slip away before that. Maybe talk about. I think you had 2 or 3 chances at wins throughout the season that year.
Yeah, I think our very first win that we almost got, we were lapping someone and they came down on us. I think it was the last lap and cut our brake line off on the left front. So that was kind of heartbreaking. And yeah, we've definitely had a few get away from us.
Yeah, and I think what was Roy Smith Memorial? Was it your first win?
I believe.
Or the second win? Was it the Kershaw Cup?
Yeah, I think that was
Kershaw
the first
Cup.
one. Yeah.
So obviously racing isn't the cheapest of hobbies. It's expensive, time consuming. So what keeps you coming back every weekend?
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. I don't know. I'm pretty competitive. most people that I'm a pretty quiet guy, so people are kind of surprised that I race cars and that I'm aggressive. But I just like BSing with everyone, and the track is basically everyone's like a big family, so you get to know so many people, and it doesn't seem to matter where you are. You can be in the States or home here. There's so many people, and everyone likes doing the same thing, so it's fun.
So how's the wife with all this?
She's good. She comes out to most of the races. I have my hobby. She has her horses, so she's happy.
Which one's more expensive?
I would say horses.
So did it take some convincing with the racing thing, or was she right into it?
Yeah, she doesn't seem to care. She lets me do what I want, and I just let her do what she wants, and everybody's happy.
Nice.
What else we got on here? And all the cheat sheets. Oh, is there anything that you've haven't gotten to drive that you'd like to get into one day? I know you're at the pinnacle right now.
Yeah.
Pavement.
I would like to try a dirt sprint.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be that good at it, but I'd like to give her a shot.
Yeah, keyword is try.
Yeah.
Try. Do your best. What else we got?
Well, I think one good one. What would be a favorite racing? We've talked about a favorite memory, maybe being a win, but what's a favorite track story? Maybe just a moment, funny moment, or something like that's happened that you can share without anybody getting
thrown under the bus.
Yeah, thrown under the bus, or legal implications, or anything like that.
I don't know.
Well, there goes all the stories then.
One of the funnier things was probably Rob one day was trying to show off on the quad, and he tried to spin some donuts there in the grass in front of the car and ended up rolling the thing.
Were you in the car at this time?
No, I think there was a big group of people just standing around watching.
Was this after the races or before the races?
I think this was before.
Oh, God.
Oh, so Rob was in a great mood afterwards.
Yeah, I think he was more embarrassed than anything.
So let's go back to your crew. Who makes up your crew? You said your mom, obviously Rob. Who else you got helping you out?
Yeah, we got my mom, we got Rob, we got Evan, who's family friend. Actually, a guy named John that lives down in the cul-de-sac from my parents, he just started helping out. And my brother comes over from Vancouver every once in a while, helps out. And my Uncle Norm comes out most of the time. He's out there at WILROC most of the time anyways, but it's just pretty much everyone. My grandma and grandpa, my aunt and uncles, they pretty much at every single race.
Yeah.
Driving from the stands.
The support group, we've got to find a way to get more numbers out than the Brandon French fan club. They were out in force at Strawberry Cup.
Yeah, usually the James has some, or Miller Family Racing has lots of fans, but this weekend everyone was in the pits, so we didn't have our cheering section. Let's go back to sponsorships. How important is it to have those good sponsors, those people to support you? Obviously, you got family behind you, and that's huge too. But there's got to be someone to finance some of this stuff, or at least help out.
Yeah, you can't, unless you have a lot of money, you can't do it by yourself. You definitely need the sponsors there to help, and I think shows like this are definitely helping out too, because the sponsors are seeing that they're actually getting some
airtime.
Yeah, and like at the track on the weekend, Check 6 I think was out there, and I saw the car in the news today, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet. So we talked about transitioning from the dwarf car to the non-wing sprint, and then a little bit about transitioning. But was it kind of in your head that you wanted to go into a wing car when you first started with the non-wing cars, or was that kind of something that came along after the fact?
I think it came along after the fact. Basically, I never thought there's any chance that I'd ever be able to afford to do it. But like lights cars aren't cheap either. The only difference between a lights car and a wing car is the wings and a bit more motor. Everything else is all the same.
And so that had to parlay into the fact that basically it was just budgeting out a little bit more, and then you'd be able to manage it. And did the Wayne's Trucking Series coming into fruition kind of help with that decision?
Yeah, wing racing definitely pays better, but you're also spending quite a bit more money to go do it. I think one of the main reasons I switched was just the fact that you can pretty much go anywhere you want and go race, and it's with the local like WILROC and stuff is such a specific rules that you can't really go and race with other classes, and we wanted to just kind of go have fun and
be able to go wherever, whenever,
rip around the states whenever we want.
Yeah, and experience new places and new tracks, and not be kind of chained to just Western and Saratoga.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I was talking to James, and obviously when you guys were doing setting up the laser cam fabrication, he said he had a conversation with you about how, I think he said something about working out, and talk about how physically demanding it is driving a wing car, or any race car for that matter.
Yeah.
It's not just sitting in a cushy chair.
No, it's not. It's lights cars I never really exercised or anything in, and then I switched to wing cars, and I was like done after like 20 laps. It's they're a handful. You really have to drive them, and with any car, it's hot. You're sweating, and I just decided that got to start exercising, get the cardio up, and because as soon as you start getting tired in the car, you start going slow, and
body gets tired, mind gets tired.
Yeah, you start letting off early.
Yeah, and that's when mistakes happen, and then things get expensive.
Yeah. Or you get passed, and that sucks.
Yeah. Well, if you ain't first, you're last.
Were those the other cars?
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you want to plug any social media that you guys have? I know your team's got a few social media pages up for you guys.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. I believe it's R Motorsports, and we're on Instagram too, and I believe that's R Motorsports as well.
Ryan has to check his phone quickly.
Yeah, I'm not good with all the Instagram stuff, but
that's one thing that I've like. I don't want to preach it, but I think that's super important to get yourself out there, and especially with the sponsorships, is we're taking money from these people that are willing to give it to us, and we don't. I know there has been, I've said this before, a little bit of a bad name on some race car drivers that take the money and they don't there's no ROI on their investment. So
yeah, definitely, and kind of just never see the money and never see any benefit from it.
Yeah, so I think that's a big thing, especially for us. Like our Facebook page, we're getting like at least 1,000 views on pictures and stuff, so it's super important, and I'm glad you're doing it, because you're driving something that's way more expensive than what we got. So
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We're also trying to bring it out to the sponsors and stuff like that for drop it off for a day and try to get some.
That's a great idea.
People drop in.
Definitely getting the car out as much as possible kind of gets that added exposure and gets people kind of excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
We're
I
at
think
30 minutes here.
Right at 30 minutes. Any?
Check us out, Miller Family Racing 71 on both Facebook and Instagram, and Short Track Radio 1 on Facebook and Instagram. If you guys want to sponsor our show, let me know. You can message us on Facebook or come see me at the track.
If you're not already sponsoring a race car, if you're sponsoring a race car, we understand.
Or you could sponsor too.
Maybe.
That's lots of guys that ask me for sponsorship, and it's like, well,
I kind of got my own car here.
Just kind of point over in the corner.
I'm already poor.
Yeah.
All my money in my car.
We have a great sponsor. Love them to death. The Brown family, Direct Tap. They sponsor about 12 race cars. So I don't know how they do it, but they keep
just
the
add
cars out there,
a podcast into that budget.
Yeah.
That's all you need. All right, thanks again, Ryan, for setting aside some time here. I know you had to look after the kids tonight.
Yeah, I gotta go grab them after this.
All right, so this has been another edition of Short Track Radio, and tune in whenever we feel like posting next.
Bye.